Today we're here for my 2023 AFL Grand Final predictions, the big clash ahead of us between Collingwood and Brisbane, as well as a few other things I'll be going through in this video as well. And starting off with how I went last week in my tips, and I know they don't matter as much in the finals because it's too late into the season, but I did get 2 out of 2 tipping the favourites, so sometimes it does pay off to tip the favourites, with the Pies beating the Giants by a point and the Lions beating the Blues by 16 points. I also asked you guys in the comments from last video to leave your predictions for the preliminary finals tips, and I said that whoever got the closest would win a bit of a prize. The prize is $50, and the person I'm going to give away the money to is the one that got the closest, so they have to get at least one correct margin, but also correctly guess the second team. And the closest that we have that's going to win it this time round is Jared Ovic Domini 261. He predicted the Pies by 1. He also predicted the Lions by 1, whilst they did win by 16. He technically was the closest in the way that I'm awarding it. So well done. If you want to hit me up on like Instagram or email me, something like that, we can work something out for $50. And speaking of money, we also have a tipping competition that I'm pretty sure are about to wrap up, considering there's not really too long. In fact, there's only one more game to go. We do actually have a winner here, Saskatoon. Congratulations for being the 2023 AFL Cardman 22 tipping competition winner, scoring 158 of 680. That it's very good. I'm not too sure how well that ranks compared to everyone in ESPN tipping. Now, second and third also do get prizes, $50 and $30 respectively. Given that there's still one more game to go, grand final, we don't know who's second or third yet. And for those wondering how my big calls went last week, well, they were pretty poor in the 2 games. I said that the Pies would kick 6 more consecutive goals and that Kerno would kick 5 more goals. And we all know those didn't get up at all. So before we do get into previewing the big game ahead of us between Collingwood and Brisbane, we'll go through last week's games in a little bit more detail, starting off on the Friday night between Collingwood and the Giants. Now, I have to say, this game was probably one of the better games I've ever seen ever, to be honest with you. Like, probably the best final that I've seen in quite a while as well. It's just such a close contest, such a fierce, high-intensity game. I thought, maybe the Pies at the start were going to kick away. The Giants responded. They got their momentum. The Pies got their momentum back. And it was just such a back-and-forth game. Jordan De Goey, I thought, was definitely the best on ground, influencing the contest. Nick Dacos in his return game with some good form. Toby Green, obviously, having an impact. And, Tom Green as well, I thought was very instrumental. But it was just the Pies at the end, the way they played out their last 6-7 minutes defensively, make it really difficult for the Giants. And they ultimately won it by 1 point, obviously making their way through to the grand final in great fashion. And the second game on the Saturday, which I was in attendance for at the Gabba between the Lions and the Blues. And it was unfortunate the Blues couldn't hold on after such a strong start with the first 5 goals of the game, but they sort of crumbled from there. And the Lions, they finally kicked into gear at their home venue to kick, I think, 9 of the next 11 goals. They just completely dominated after that, looked a much better side. Looked like the Blues were just a little bit tired after that first quarter, ran out of legs a little bit. It was a bit of a even last quarter, but the damage was done early on. The Lions, proving too good and winning that one by 16 points to head into their first grand final since 2004. So it's very interesting to see a bit of a new side in the grand final. I've never watched a grand final live with Brisbane in it. Weirdly enough, it's not common at all for first and second place to play off in a grand final, and even less common for first place to actually win between second. I think we've only seen it once or twice, so maybe that gives the Lions a little bit of an advantage, but the Pies have been the benchmark side all season, I'd have to say, and even though they've had a bit of a shake-up to end off the season, those 2 key finals wins putting them through to the grand final. Although, at times, you could argue that their performances weren't convincing. You can make the argument that Melbourne probably should have won, and maybe the Giants should have won if both sides took their chances, but the Pies have been extremely solid defensively, and I think defensively they could possibly go in and winning this game. And I'd say for the Lions, you probably have to say their main strength is their attack, and they've just got so many players up forward that can provide such a deadly target. Obviously, Cameron Danaher, who's in some really good form. Hipwood can be good when he's on. Rayner can bob up. Zach Bailey. They've got heaps of players. Obviously, the reason they're in this position, the Lions, is because of their form at the Gabba, but interstate at certain venues, we all know they're a bit shaky, and the MCG is certainly one of them. And before their win against Melbourne in the semi-final last year, they lost their last 11 games to the MCG, and even this year as well, they've lost their last 3 since that final, not being able to get the job done in any of those games. But I do still think that the Lions can be composed enough heading into this one. I think that they can just erase all those worries about not playing at the MCG. Since it's a grand final, though, the crowd in a way cancels itself out. There'll still certainly be more Collingwood fans there, corporates and all that, but it won't be that big of an advantage because of the fact it's the grand final and the members just don't really get first priority, which is unfair, I guess, on that behalf. Now, having a look at the last 5 games between these 2 sides, and it's the Lions with the clear dominance and the clear advantage, winning the last 5, in fact, the last 6 this year, getting the 2-0 record at the Gabba and Marvel Stadium, respectively. And you look at the last 5, you see one little outlier, and the fact that none of the games have been played at the MCG. So it's the first time since 2017 where Collingwood and the Lions are facing off at the MCG. I'm not really sure why the Pies haven't been able to play at the G against the Lions more often. So I just expect this one, honestly, to be more of a fierce contest between Brisbane and Collingwood. It should be closer, and I think it'll be more even now. I think the odds are now $2.04 to the Lions. Because of the fact that the Pies have a couple key outs, Dan McStay, as of late, has been actually really important for them in terms of like shaping up their structure. Taylor Adams as well. He's obviously a really big loss as well for the Pies in that midfield. So they're going to have a couple of soldiers out. They'll have to make a couple of list changes. I think the Lions should be heading into this one unchanged. So they have the advantage in that regard as well. But again, though, I am a little bit concerned for the Lions. If they don't get off to a good start and the Pies get that real hot start and their fans get up and about early, then it might be almost too much for the Lions to overcome, given that their lack of, grand final experience. We all know there are a few key Collingwood players that have played in grand finals, knowing how to, handle the pressure. It's really a flip of the coin to who's going to win this game, in my honest opinion. I think the Pies had the slightest advantage, but let's go through my predictions here. We'll go through them quarter by quarter to build up the suspense a little bit. Starting up with quarter time, and I think that the Pies will get off to a hot start, leading at 32-16. It'll be a quarter where I think Collingwood could honestly kick the first 3 or 4 goals and really start the game hot and make it really difficult for the Lions to come back. The Lions will kick a couple goals late. Second quarter, I think the Lions are going to get back into the game. I think they're going to have a strong quarter led through Lockie Muir. I think he's going to have a really big say in this one. It will be the reason why they get back into the game, I feel. And I think they're going to trail at 5, 54-49. The Pies will still kick away. They'll get sort of a few lucky goals, but it'll be really Brisbane that they're making their claim in this one, having a real dominant quarter. And I think in the third quarter, it'll be another really strong quarter for the Lions. I think they're going to start really taking control of the contest, finding plays inside 50. The Pies' defence will start crumbling a little bit. And I think for Collingwood, they're going to find it a little bit more difficult to score in that third quarter. So Brisbane leading by 14 at 3/4 time. And in the final quarter, I do think that the Lions are going to hold on here by 11 points. It's really a bit of a coin toss in this one. Whilst I said the Pies before probably have the advantage, I think the Lions, their form is good enough, and I think they're going to pip the Pies, because we know the Pies have a big tendency to choke in big grand finals, and I think they're going to do it again, like in 2018, starting strong, but fading away late, and Brisbane are going to be the premiers in 2023 by 11 points. On Norm Smith medal, I did say the second quarter, Lockie Neal will step up big in that second quarter, and I think he's going to go and get the Norm Smith medal. And, the fact that he won the Brownlow medal probably will help his chances here as well. The fact that he probably won it in controversial fashion. He's a difficult player not to ignore, and it'll probably be the case in this one. I think he will lead the club by example in the second and, get that Norm Smith medal. Giving a big call as well. Pies choke a 20-plus point lead. I said it in the pre-game stats. I think, the Pies are going to get off to a strong first quarter start. I know it's quite specific, but that's what we like with the grand final predictions. Go as specific as you can to see if you're going to get any of them right. And I think that the Pies genuinely will get off to a really good start, but just fade away, and Brisbane do what they did against Carlton last week. They'll just sort of slowly find their way back into the game. This will be my final tipping video of 2023. And I will probably announce the winners next week in a video or a community post, something like that, for the tipping video. And for the Gold King Challenge, I want to address this now and once and for all. I am going to postpone it to next week. I know I've been pumping it up that I'll be getting out grand final week, but considering I have a lot on this week with content, just a lot of stuff, grand final week that I have on, I think I won't have enough time to actually finish it out. I don't want to rush the video. I really want it to be a well-produced quality video, and it's taken me quite a bit of time. It's going to be a huge week of footy with the grand final and all the content that surrounds it. But those are my grand final tips and predictions. I'd love to get to the grand final this week. I probably won't be able to, but regardless, leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon in my next one.